An afternoon update on Tropical Storm Erin. This storm formed yesterday, the fifth storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, and it is expected to become our first hurricane and first major hurricane of the 2025 Atlantic season. Currently, it's situated in the middle of the Atlantic. Yesterday, it formed about 280 miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands, where unfortunately did cause significant flooding. People were missing from those floodwaters, unfortunately, and now this storm has had the opportunity to be over open water for the last 24 hours and even more than that. The size of it has gotten a little bit bigger, but here's the thing about Erin right now. It is moving over an area of the ocean that doesn't have very warm waters. It is situated right about here. So tropical systems get their energy from the heat of from latent heat release as they're pulling in that warm ocean water. 80 degrees is like the minimum for these storms to really get organized and start to strengthen a little bit. When we see waters that are above 85 degrees, that is like the sweet spot. That's like bathtub water. The warmer and warmer they get, that is more energy available for these systems to strengthen and get better organized if they don't have wind shear and they have plenty of moisture around them. So the path of this storm is going to keep moving westward, and eventually, as we get into the weekend, as it gets closer to the Leeward Islands, it is going to move into an area with warmer waters, and for that reason, you're going to notice that on the official cone of uncertainty from the National Hurricane Center, the storm's not expected to strengthen a lot over the next 24 hours, but then really starts to take off as we get into kind of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday timeframe. Spaghetti models today clustered pretty closely in the near term, but one thing I want to point out is as we get into the weekend, we do have some small deviations with different models. Again, these are spaghetti models trying to figure out where's the center of Erin ultimately going to go. We see a pretty close cluster of these models kind of getting that northward steer as we get closer to kind of Bermuda time frame. There's a few outliers though that are doing more of a deviation just to the south. If we see it staying on that more westward track for a little bit longer, then that means the steering currents are slightly different, and that curve to the north would happen later, further west. So that's what we're going to be watching very closely, is the steering currents with this as we get into the weekend and beyond. Is when does it start to get steered to the north? Is that something that happens sooner and that's a bigger play for Bermuda, or does it happen later and that means it gets a little bit closer to churning up not just the rip currents and surf, but potentially, if it's big enough, some impacts to other bodies of land? So we'll be watching that very closely. The official cone of uncertainty from the National Hurricane Center remaining a tropical storm through the day today and tomorrow, but really by Thursday, we start to see it taking off as it hits those warmer waters. Doesn't have a lot of wind shear that is inhibiting that formation and development, so becoming a hurricane later on Thursday. And then as we get into Friday, strengthening eventually closer to a Category 2 hurricane Friday night or Saturday morning. And then on this track at 11 o'clock, becoming a major hurricane by first thing on Sunday morning. We will have our latest track update coming up after the afternoon run of models. That will come in shortly before the top of the hour at 5 o'clock. We'll have that for you today on 11 Live News.